This is the Lunatics Legends Podcast. Today we are here with Raul Mendez. You have an insane story, probably one of the wildest stories that we've had on this show, flat out. You were at a 4th of July party with your family, and a crazed gunman came in and shot you in the side of the head. I don't want to tell your story. I want you to tell your story. So tell us what you remember, brother.
Well, shit. This was a few years ago. It's gonna be 4 years this July. But it's a moment that you'll never forget. Something unreal. Something that most people think like from a movie. Like this shit'll never happen to me.
Right.
This shit doesn't happen. It's uncommon or something like that. But we were invited. Pregnant wife, my two daughters. Invited to 4th of July party at a friend's house that we've always gathered. So it was nothing new, not a stranger, nothing like that. And other families, other friends. And it was just another day, celebrate our freedom and, get together for those laughs and those memories. And my God, did that become a damn memory, a bad one. So we're hanging out. And this neighbor, I had never met him. So we're at my buddy's house and we're lighting fireworks and he comes over, introduces himself. My friend, he's seen him here and there, wave at each other.
Yeah.
From what he said, never really formally introduced or actually had a chat. But, he's lived there for years, waving at each other every time, they see each other out and. And so eventually, small groups, we all started making our way into the house. And, this guy follows the crowd. He goes into the house and, my buddy being a, good neighbor, a good host, we're all there, says, hey, well, like, shit, you're already here. You're my neighbor. I've seen you for a few years, but you want something to eat, something to drink, sit down. So he does. Sits down in the, kitchen island, plate of food and everything. He starts eating. And in that kitchen island, you have an empty bar stool, to the left.
Yeah.
And then next to that was my wife. Next to my wife was, another female. One of my buddies right across from him, from the neighbor. And in the middle of eating, I don't know what happened. Something clicked on his head. That mental illness, whatever the hell it is, fucking demon possessed him. I don't know. But he stands up, pulls out a pistol, and just shoots my buddy right across from him. Not provoked, not nothing. Shoots him once in the throat. He doesn't fall. So he shoots him again. My buddy then falls. My wife is to the left of him. I'm probably about, 10 feet to the left of him. I'm standing in the dining area. From what my wife tells me, I guess I was talking to somebody. I don't know what the hell I was doing in the dining room, but I was standing.
Yeah.
My back is, faced my wife and the gunman. So he shoots my buddy twice, then turns to the left, and of course he sees me. My wife drops to the floor.
Yeah. Your pregnant wife.
My pregnant wife.
Yeah.
So hearing those gunshots, people thought, somebody lit off a firework in the house or something. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?
Right.
But I turn to my right, so I hear, boom, boom. So I turn. By the time I'm turning, no chance to see what the heck is going on. He just catches me on the right side of the head. Bullet goes through my whole face and out my left eye. I hit the ground. I hit, on my knees. He thinks, okay, I got this guy in the head.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
Makes his way through the living room and, just starts, continues his rampage.
Yeah.
Everybody starts trying to scatter, run at the house, and just, get the heck out of there. my wife runs to me. I'm on my knees and she doesn't know what the heck is going on.
Right.
Did I go on my knees and drop because I heard the gunshots? But then, she's telling me, get up, let's go, let's go. And I'm not responding. I'm
Right.
out of it. And so, she literally grabs my face, like to catch my attention and, turns my head over to her. And that's when she just sees like this huge, just fountain of blood just dripping down my face. Just red, just red. And that's like, in her head, it's just like, holy shit, my husband is dead.
Yeah.
Next thing just, snaps in her head. Where are the girls?
Yeah. She's a parent.
Yeah. And she, last remembers they were in one of the bedrooms, bunch of kids just playing. So she runs there. Maybe she met with the gunman, they cross paths as she's, running to the bedroom because, it's going towards the same area. Yeah. But she just had that tunnel vision, just, get there.
Yeah.
She finds the kids are panicking. I have my 2 daughters are in that bedroom. Other kids as well. They're asking, like, what's going on? Where's dad? Where's daddy? Like, I don't know. I think he was outside, I think he was outside. I don't know, but just there's something going on. Threw the kids in the closet, threw clothes on top of them, just unwrapped clothes and threw it on top and just told them, hey, don't make a noise. Whatever you hear, I don't care. Do not come out of here. Do not make a noise. Closes the closet. 7 months pregnant, she sees this giant dresser. She doesn't know how she did it, but she dragged that damn thing in front of the door to barricade it.
Yeah.
So she barricaded the door and just waited there. Knowing, in her mind, my husband's dead. Is this gunman going to come find me? Is this gunman going to find these kids?
In the meanwhile, you're in the kitchen bleeding out.
Just bleeding out on the floor.
Yeah.
So, as I'm bleeding out, you have this crowd of people trying to funnel through the front door,
Yeah.
So what does he do? The gunman, he just starts shooting towards the door. You have funnel of people trying to get through, just shoot there. You're going to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
He caught people in the back and the shoulder.
Because this wasn't a vendetta. This wasn't anything against, I'm going to go after this person specifically. This was just a crazy man, mental illness, with a firearm who wanted to take people's lives.
Correct. And, he accomplished that. Took, people's lives. He kept shooting towards that door and caught another one in the leg. Couldn't make his way out the door,
Yeah.
So he's trying to crawl out that door. And he just goes up to him, walks right in front of him, and just point blank shoots him at the top of the head.
I'm struggling to find words right now I have a ton of questions, but I also have respect, and I'm like concerned to cross the line with you. I literally have you in my phone as Raul Mendez hero, and I've known you for years. Shortly after this happened,
Yeah.
and I've always had a massive amount of admiration for you because of the rest of the story. So he's at the door, you're still bleeding out, your wife is behind the door, behind the dresser, protecting the kids as best as she can, 7 months pregnant, and the hallway's jammed with people while he's firing indiscriminately in there, and all he wants is blood.
All he wants is blood.
So what then happens?
Well, these houses are like, those cookie cutter homes. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably has a similar or the same, model home. So he
Right.
knows his way around the house.
Right.
So he makes his way, okay, this is a master bedroom. Door's locked. I'm sure there's people in there.
Yeah.
So the homeowner's wife, or the host that invited me, his wife was on the other side of that door.
Hmm.
He starts firing towards the door, trying to shoot the doorknob and break it through.
Yeah.
And he catches her with 4+ bullets, in the arm and the leg, and just, nothing vital. But he
Right.
catches her, breaks down the door, and you have two other girls hiding in the master closet with two little boys. So you have them hiding there, panicking, of course, and you know, everybody's mind, like, we don't know what the heck is going on, why,
Yeah.
but these survival instincts just kick in, that will to live, and either you run, you hide, or you fight.
Right.
So she decides to, I don't want to fucking die. So she wrestles him. She, reaches out, arms bleeding, everything, and grabs his hand where he's holding that pistol. And of course, he's trying to kill her. But she gets him to empty out his magazine. So they're kind of shooting everywhere. And, you know, at that point, every round misses. So once he's empty, he drops the pistol and just fights her bare hand. Gets behind her, just starts choking her out, tries to finish her off,
Yeah.
by choking her.
Yeah.
At that point, she's yelling, and she's yelling my name because she knew I religiously carried a concealed firearm.
Yeah.
And that's something she told me, when I got out of the hospital. So, she's yelling, Raul, Raul, he's out, he's empty, help.
She shot 4 times. She's fighting a full-grown man, and she's still brilliant enough to give call to you to let you know that he's dumped his mag. That's insane to me. Like, it's a testament to the will to survive, right? There's I don't want to go too deep into it because this isn't about me. However, I've seen some really dark things in human behavior, and for the longest time after being in the military, there was a dark side that I felt about humanity. I've seen human depravity. And then I hear stories like yours. I do this podcast, and this is, if nothing less for me, being cathartic because it's also showing me the other side of that coin. That there's people that will fight, that there are people that are so driven to survive that in that moment, a woman fights a full-grown man with 4 bullet wounds in her, and she still has the wherewithal to shout out to you, who she knows is carrying, who she knows is a shooter, and has the brilliance to say he's dumped his mag, like he's empty. That's wild.
Yeah. So awesome of her. Hero for sure.
Yeah.
At that point, she's calling my name, but, she doesn't realize, like, I'm fucking dead.
Yeah.
I should be. I should be dead.
Right.
But, technically, I'm fucking dead on the ground bleeding out.
Yeah.
Well, as he's choking her out, one of the other girls finds an AR in the closet. Not loaded, nothing. Doesn't know how to load, doesn't know any of that. So she, does the next best thing with it. She runs out the closet and she uses it to strike the guy.
Yeah.
So she starts striking him, with the rifle. He lets go of the girl from choking her out, She's still hitting him. They both start, beating his ass.
Yeah.
You know, they beat his ass to the point where, he hits the ground. They're able to run out. As this is happening, you know, I open my eyes. I hear the screams, all the shouting, the commotion, everything. Confusion is going through my mind. I know something horrible happened. Don't really know what. Don't know who's gone. Don't know why.
I mean,
Nothing.
Your whole world is shook at that moment.
I'm blind from one eye. Blood is covering my other. Can't see for shit.
Can't hear much.
Can't hear. Right eardrum, where the bullet went through.
Yeah.
Didn't directly hit the eardrum, but the impact, just fucking blew my eardrum.
Right.
So all my senses, everything is off. But something, something got me up. Something, told me it's not my time to go. You need to get up. Where's my family? Where are my girls? All three, and my unborn, so all my four.
Yeah.
Where the heck are they? At that point, I had a decision to make with two choices. Either stay in that house and find them and run towards, those screams, or cowered out. Cowered out, leave everybody behind.
Right.
Everybody for their own. Those were my choices. So, I made my choice, and I'm, happy with it. Got up, ran towards those screams. As I'm, running towards the hallway, that bedroom, those girls are running out for their lives. You still have two, now at that point you have another girl in the closet with the two boys. And, they knocked this guy down, but he's, per the police report, he's getting back up. Mm-hmm. And they found he did have another pistol on him. Mm. He had, 2 pistols, bunch of mags. So he was still locked and loaded, ready to go.
So this was obviously premeditated.
That's what it
Nobody's
sounds like.
Carrying around multiple mags and 2 pistols. He wasn't just at the party, invited in, shown hospitality. He wasn't just there having a little fried chicken and being happy, and then something snapped. This was a planned event.
That's what it sounds like.
I'm sorry.
You're good. So, he's trying to get back up. And God knows, continue his killing spree.
Yeah.
He could have gone in that closet. He could have gone after those girls. And, so I did what I had to do. I fired 4 shots. And that was it.
Yeah.
Just ended him right there.
So you got up from the living room area that you were in, made your way down the hall.
Right. So I was in the dining area. So I went through the dining room, cut a left. There's like a little small hallway, and the master's right there. So went there, and, so all this stuff, I'm knocked out. I had to do some, investigate, ask questions, and, I had to play detective.
Right.
To find out what the hell happened that day.
You've been shot in the head. You're going to lose your bearings, of course.
How much of it do you remember clearly in the moment? I mean, like when you look back on that, is it all there, or is it kind of piecemeal together because of the state of shock that your body was clearly in?
You know what? Getting out of the hospital, I didn't remember a damn thing. Mm-hmm. Time went by. I was trying to put the pieces together. I don't know if my memory is just of, me investigating and creating the story in my head. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's an actual memory.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at that point. So I really don't know. You know, I know the house so well and everything that I play this picture in my head. And that I feel it now like I was there and this is what happened.
Right.
But, you know, waking up in the hospital, I just woke up from, you know, surgery and, you know, they're patching my head and everything. And so, like, I was just out of it completely.
So I see no other way to call this. You dispel the demon that was in the house, right? You end him and end the threat, but you don't know if there's multiple gunmen. I mean, it's, you know, the fog of war. You're attempting to figure out what just happened. You've been shot in the head and it went in near your right ear, came out your left eye. Is not to be gross, is the eye there? Is the eye gone?
Oh, the eye's gone.
Yeah. So you're bleeding profusely and you're attempting to figure out, is the threat completely eliminated? People have scattered. Your wife's still in the room. Do you remember what happens after that?
So after he's been eliminated, and I mean, 4 shots of a 45 center mass.
Yeah.
And, you know, 2 hitting his heart.
Quick attaboy.
You know, you know, it instantly, you know, he's done. You know, threat's gone.
Right.
At that point, you know, I'm like a fucking zombie just roaming the house, you know?
Right.
And I guess one of the other guys came back into the house and he sees me, meets with me, and, you know, he goes and tries to get the girls out. He bangs on the door or, you know, knocks on the door and like, hey, you know, telling my wife, you know, come out. You know, the threat's gone, you know, the threat, you know, it's gone. My wife's like, you're lying, you know, no.
Right.
He's dead, you know, Raul killed him.
Yeah.
My wife's like, Raul killed him. I'm like, you're lying.
She
Raul's
just
dead.
saw you.
Yeah, Raul's dead. Raul
Yeah.
didn't, you know, now you're really fucking lying, you know?
Right.
Like, no, he's alive. You know, she heard that friendly voice, of course, and so moves the dresser again and opens the door, and she sees a friendly face, of course. So, like, let's go. We need to get out of here. So she opens the closet. Come on, kids, let's go. Get out. You know, she gets them out. Right. She walks out that bedroom, and as soon as she walks out, she looks to the left. She sees me just like slouching, leaning all, you know, just right there in the hallway on the wall. Mm-hmm. And, you know, her words, you look like in a movie. You look like a freaking zombie, like right there. That's how she explained it, you know?
Yeah.
I saw a damn zombie right there. But, you know, she didn't care. She knew it was me.
Yeah.
Fucking runs to me. The girls run to me. You know, hugs and all that, and, you know. Then she tells the girls, hey, follow, you know, this guy. So go with this guy, and, you know, they go out through the garage, you know, big overhead. And, you know, I'm leaning on my wife, you know. She's trying to hold me up, and we're, you know, slowly walking outside the house, you know, towards the garage, you know, to get out of the house. At that point, you know, PD just pulled up. They're outside. They don't know what the heck is going on. You know, multiple calls, gunfire, and, you know, stuff like that. You know, the people that actually escaped, you know, hey, there's a shooter, there's this, you know, people are getting shot, you know, of course, so they don't know what the heck's going on. Well, we're walking out. I'm leaning on my wife, arm around her and everything, with a 45 in my hand.
Yeah.
So, so of course, at that moment, you have the whole PD just, you know, have their ARs and everything just pointed right at me.
Right. And rightfully so. I'm sure you understand, you know.
Of course. And so, like, drop your weapon. And drop your weapon. They just keep yelling. And am I listening? No. No, I'm not pointing anything at them, but, I'm walking out. I'm not listening. It took my wife to tell me, hey, drop your gun or you're going to get shot again.
Right.
I'm like,
These guys
shit.
are.
I'm like, oh shit, you're
Yeah.
right. So, I threw my gun and my wife's yelling at them, we're the he's a victim, he's shot, he needs help. And, so they finally, get the attention off of me and they just tell me, okay, go take him over there. They go sweep the house and, find the gunman laying there. Nothing's going on anymore. It's all the aftermath and yeah.
So I want to go into the concepts of the recovery afterwards as well. So you have that situation, you go into surgery, you wake up from surgery, and now it's a whole lot of completely different life. Like, there's got to be a massive amount of culture shock. You have a blown out eardrum, you're missing an eye. Some people would process that they took a life and they find that bad. I think you're a hero for that. You saved lives. But yet I also know, being a combat vet, and many of my combat friends have talked about a sense of survivor's guilt as well, right? I was a part of a mission that there were 2 platoons that were pinned down, and because of my efforts, a sortie went out, a flight mission went out that cleared the rooftops from these snipers. And for a while there, I was in a really bad place after getting out of the military, and my thoughts were on, because of my existence, lives have been lost. And it's it can be a hard thing to process like that. For me, after a ton of work on myself and my psyche, things have shifted and I understand, right? However, for a while there, I was in a headspace of like, well, if I didn't exist, these people would still be alive. Even though they're the bad guy, view it from their lens.
Right.
I think your situation's a bit different. However, I am curious, was there any of that for you?
The only guilt that I had,
Yeah.
that I wasn't prepared. But, I wasn't better prepared.
Yeah.
I should have stopped it before he took, any lives.
Right.
I should have been, watching him, the outsider,
Right.
the whole time, just ready to draw.
Right.
That was the only thing. But after a while, it was like, I couldn't have predicted that something that's not common
Right.
doesn't happen. Nobody thinks it's going to ever happen to them, anything like that. So I'm just thankful for the outcome. I'm thankful, I'm alive. Thankful I got up. Thankful my family's still here.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I got to meet my newborn.
Yeah.
2 months later, became a dad again.
Yeah.
My third little girl, got to meet her, and after that, it just kind of like just faded away. I do not have any guilt for taking that man's life. Yeah. I feel he deserved it. He had it coming, and I'm thankful to God every day that it was me that took him out.
Right.
And I think because I did that, I think that's what gives me peace of mind and allows me to sleep at night.
Right. And they largely buried your story because they only want people that are victim of gun crimes. They
Correct.
don't want to hear, much like Colonel Cooper always said, The only way to stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun.
That's right.
Right. And so they don't want to showcase that. You've been shot in the head. You lost your hearing and your eye. You hate guns now, right?
Oh, yeah. No, so when this story first came out,
Right.
you know, they held a, you know, press release, whatever, you know, the chief of police and said, hey, there was an altercation between, you know, two parties and there was gunfire, multiple, you know, people,
Ridiculous.
you know, 3 people killed and, you know, stuff like that. And so to the, you know, to the media, that's like, holy shit, some gold right here, you know, let's go.
Right.
So they fucking ran with the story. And then a few days later, a week later, okay, we have more of the story. This is the, pretty much, like, this is the bad guy here. He opened fire with, you know, without being provoked. And, you know, this was a family thing and all that. And, you know, this many victims. And one of the victims returned fire and eliminated the threat.
Right.
Well, you hear that, and now the media said, you know, fuck the story.
Right. The cycle had already
Yeah,
died.
all right. So
Yeah.
they fucking killed it right then and
Can't
there.
control that narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even after the fact, there was one that actually kept fucking bugging me to get on, and that was Fox.
Yeah.
Fox, you know, here local in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Reporter Justin Lum. Yeah. He just kept fucking bugging me. And so I went on.
Yeah.
And even, you know, returning fire and saying this and all that, like, he fucking loved it. So they ran with the story. They threw it on, came out online and everything, and that was it. Fucking crickets after that.
I want to touch on real quick. You had mentioned a bit ago that you felt like maybe you could have been more prepared and should have done something sooner. For me, I guess I just have a different view of that. You were in a situation that, I mean, the circumstances alone were very disarming. You were at a family block party celebrating the 4th of July. I can't imagine most people feeling like they have to carry in that scenario, but because you were such an avid proponent of carrying, that you did. And it just makes me think of all the times that I go to family events or places where I don't have to carry here. It's not that big of a deal. You know, there's nothing going on. Nothing's going to happen in this scenario. That's not going to... Nope. That can happen anytime.
I'm glad that you bring that up, because I'm one of those people where, oh shit, I forgot my gun.
Turn around.
No, before. No, turn around. We're just going to my sister's house.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Continue.
Not me.
We're already 5 minutes in the drive or whatever. No, okay. Or if I say it, my wife be like, fuck. Like, damn, you want to turn around just for your gun? You don't need it. You know, it's, you know, that. Even though I do carry religiously, I have. But, you know, we're all imperfect. We forget.
Right.
And there's been times where I don't turn around.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm only going to the grocery store. I'm only going here. Now, I don't care. I mean, now I won't forget it. But if I ever do, I'm turning the hell around.
Yeah. And clearly I was making the joke. And I love that, because people are, if we split it right here, people are going to roast me in the comments, calling me a gun hater and all this, having no idea that I met you at a gun event and we connected over firearms, and what a huge proponent I am for firearms. Literally got a bolt face tattooed on my forearm. Like, you know, I carry wherever I go for that exact reason. So I got to ask, that night, what were you carrying?
It's a great question. So, Glock 36.
Yeah.
It's a single stack subcompact, you know, chambered in 45. You know, 6 in the mag. And of course, 1 chambered.
Of course you carry chambered, as you should, especially with single stack. Glocks are fantastic firearms.
So, I was never a huge fan of Glocks.
Yeah.
I always thought they were ugly as shit.
Well, there goes your sponsorship deal.
To be fair,
So-
everybody thinks that.
Yeah.
But that Glock 36 was my first Glock. Something, or I don't know what it was. I was like, you know, fuck it, I want a Glock.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
to say I have or whatever. So I decided to go, subcompact, single stack. I want the smallest 45 I can find. So it was that Glock 36 that I picked up. That's when I started carrying it. Because before I was carrying like a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield.
Yeah.
Before that, I was carrying Ruger LCP, and then I was like, this little fucking angry cricket. I was like, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Fucking breaks the wrist, and so I went with that Glock, and shit, that's what I was carrying.
Yeah.
It did its job. It didn't let me down. Every time I pulled that trigger, a round went off. So what did I do after? I went and bought me 3 more Glocks. When I turned 21, I bought my first pistol, of course, and I carried that thing religiously.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere I went. And I mean, it's not your typical gun. So I'm sure people, are going to think, it was this, it was, a little polymer gun. But no, I bought a full fucking metal 1980 original nickel-plated Browning high power.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that was my first gun. And I would fucking carry that thing.
Yeah.
I first moved out here, I was probably like 20. Once I turned 21, went to Cabela's, which is now, Bass Pro Shop. But
Yeah.
I went to Cabela's at the time and went to, look at guns and stuff like that. Then I walked into their gun library. Started looking at their used guns, and I saw that thing. And, I've always been a fan of, the Belgian-made, the, old school, Browning high power.
Yeah.
My dad, I grew up on those. So as soon as I saw, my dad always had like the blued ones that look black, I saw this nickel-plated one. I was like, oh, that's it. I want that one.
Yeah.
Fucking took it home, went shooting. I carried that thing everywhere I went, man. I was that dad at fucking Chuck E. Cheese with the 1980, Browning high power appendix carry, so.
I love firearms, and honestly, that is probably the biggest thing that I miss about working the gun shows is having people come up to me and go like, I'll trade you this gun for some body armor. And I'm like, okay. I've picked up a couple sweet deals for body armor, but.
I was mentioning, so after this whole happened, first thing I was like, I need more guns.
Yeah.
I think I bought about 4 or 5 guns somewhere along the lines, so bought a Glock 34, Glock 43, Glock 21, and then I bought so it's 4, and then I bought for my daughters, I bought the Taurus TX22, it's full size freaking little 22 pistol.
Yeah.
Cool as shit though. And so, added those to my collection right off the bat, after this happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Glock now.
Mm-hmm.
They're great pistols. Yes, their triggers are not the best, but they're reliable.
Yeah.
I do actually, my Glock 34, I think is one of the coolest freaking guns I own now.
Yeah.
Taryn Butler from Taryn Tactical invited me to go shoot at his range, so I drove out to Simi Valley. Went out to Simi Valley and met with him, shot it. He was showing me stuff, and, he has his people showing me stuff, awesome experience, catering to me and everything, and just shot a bunch of his guns.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him shoot, recorded him, and this guy is fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. And, I got to see it firsthand, like right there. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to practice more.
Right.
The way, he drops a mag, loads a mag, like all in one. It's not even like a 2-3 step. It just seems like like a 1 step. Next thing you know it, he has a full mag, and he just seems like he never stopped shooting.
Insanely fast.
But I was leaving, or I was there towards the end, and he's like, hey, you want me to deck out your Glock 34? And he's like, yeah, just leave it. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah. Looked at his website, and, has like a 6-8 month wait time, and, He's like, I'm going to throw yours, on top of the bundle.
Yeah.
It'll be done, less than a week. And I'm like, oh, shit, really? So, literally a week later, I get that thing. Oh, man. That thing is fucking sweet.
I mean, there's very few people that would go like, hey, leave your gun. And I would go for it. He is definitely one of them. Like,
yeah, I mean, dude, his work, everything, awesome experience, man. He's an awesome guy, man.
yeah.
He's cool as shit. I met him, the first time I met him was at SHOT Show.
Mm-hmm.
And we had spoken before on the phone, and he had invited me over. And I was like, dude, it's fucking Sunday, and you're telling me to go on Wednesday. I can't just fucking drive to Simi Valley. It's like a 6-hour, 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't. So we kind of had it, towards the back, okay, we'll see when a date opens or when I'm available, you're available, and you come out to California.
Yeah.
And so I met him at shop, and he recognized me. And I was hanging out with him and everything. We took pictures, and then finally we set a date, and I went. But I mean, this guy's cool as shit, man. And his work, that pistol, that fucking trigger. Oh my! I mean, if all Glocks were like that Glock 34,
Yeah.
like yeah,
So what you're saying is they can be like that.
They can
Glock
be
chooses
like
for
that.
them not to be.
yeah.
Oh, Glock.
I have to say it. He is more than welcome on the show anytime.
Yeah, friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Reach out to Raul. He has our contact info. I have 2 people in my phone with Hero next to their name. It's you and I want to. Of course, I'm going to space his name. Charles Wilford.
Mm-hmm. No, it's Steven.
Stephen Wilford. Yeah, in my phone is Hero as well. Look him up if you need to, but met him at a GOA event. Fantastic man. Mm-hmm. I text with him. We're talking to him about trying to get him on the podcast as well. But, these are the stories that I want to cover. These are the stories, these are the interviews that I want to have on, because you're right. Everybody ran. You're right. That could, right? Everybody ran. You laid there bleeding, and you had a decision to make. There was a third option, lay down and die. You didn't even list that one because that's not in you.
That wasn't an option.
Right.
That wasn't an option. I couldn't die.
Right.
I had to meet my unborn child. So
Exactly. You can run, which people chose to do, and you know what? Okay. But you're cut from a different cloth. You engaged the evil, right? You ran towards the violence. We talked about this with Chris Haynes. Mm-hmm. You ran towards the violence. So all of this happens. You're going through physical recovery, I'm sure, right? What is your mindset with this?
Just recover. That's it. The story ran through my mind and everything. I woke up, of course, panicking, scared. My wife was there to comfort me. We talked. And at that point, it's just like, shit, I need to recover. Just, physically.
Right.
Emotionally, like, fuck that. I could deal with that shit later. But I can't, I got a family to provide for,
Right.
So I need to recover. They didn't know from, beforehand. They had told my wife, like, we don't know how he's going to heal, recover. He may never walk. He may never this. Like, we just don't know. It's too soon to tell.
Yeah.
And I woke up, chatted for a little bit, with my family, my wife, my brother was there. And I just remember, like, fuck, I gotta take a piss. That starts running. I know, like, that starts running through my head. Like, the first thing, I was like, all right, now I want to get up to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Like, no, just lay there. And here's this, like the
little pitcher thing?
Little pitcher and,
yeah.
Fucking piss jug or whatever the hell it is,
right, right.
So I'm like, no, I'm going to stand up at least. Like, I need to stand up.
Right.
So my brother helps me. You know, I stand up, and I'm standing right next to the bed. And I piss, and I was like, oh, damn. Like, that was the greatest shit ever. So whatever, I finish, I lay back down. And then we start talking some more, my brother and all that. And then I just couldn't get this idea out of my head. Like, I need to walk.
Yeah.
Like, I need to. Like, now. And so I kept thinking that over in my head. And then I tell my brother, like, hey, I need to fucking walk. I need to get out of this fucking bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't, like, no, dude. Like, I need to get off of this fucking bed and walk. So they tell the nurse, no. And I'm like, either with your blessing, I'm going to walk, and you guys are going to help me, or you guys better fucking tie me down, because I'm going to fucking walk.
Right.
And they're like, holy shit, all right. So nurses come, they help me up, and I start walking. You know, walking at a, you know, decent slow pace, and they're like, okay, keep it slow. You know, I'm walking through, you know, so I get out of my room, I, you know, just start walking. I walked around the whole, I think I was on the second floor, third floor, whatever, don't remember. But as I'm walking, like, I start walking faster and faster and faster. They're like, slow down. I'm like, nope, and faster. Almost to the point, like, where I'm like, you know, speed walking, or like I'm already about to the point to start jogging, you know?
Right.
And I do the whole, you know, second floor, and we're back in my room. I'm like, I want to do it again. And the nurse is like, no, we let you get your walk, and you wanted to run, and, you know, just in a little while.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I got that out of my system. I can walk.
Mm-hmm.
Peace of mind, you know? So go back and lay down. And then that's where the nurses, you know, they officially, one of the nurses comes, and she's like, hey, we were all talking, and you're officially fucking Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I just started laughing. I'm like, okay. And the reason, and after that, like, that mentality just kicked in, like, I'm going to be okay. Yeah. That was my peace of mind, that I was able to walk, you know, my motor skills, everything was still there. I could still see from one eye, I could still hear my family, you know, I can walk. And after that, it was just, let's go. Every chance I can get. I'm laying in my bed, there's, you know, eventually, okay, you need a rest, my family left, we're going to go eat, and now that we'll be back. And, you know, any chance I get, like, I was fucking laying there, I would get up, literally by myself on the bed.
Yeah.
And, like, walk and peek out the window or the door, and, you know, come back in, and, you know, just that. I was there from waking up from surgery. I think I was there just like one more day. Yeah. Like, holy shit, Iron Man, at this pace, fucking trying to run, right. Like, you're going home soon. They took me home. My sister picked me up. You know, wife is there, everybody's there, but, you know, I went in my sister's car. Go home. Had a, you know, guest bedroom downstairs. And, you know, they took me there, laid there. And they're like, don't go upstairs. You know, that's where my bedroom is. And, you know, nothing like that. But I went to bed, and I think it was like 4 or 5 a.m. Of course, you know, I woke up. Couldn't really sleep. I'd wake up every, you know, hour on the hour type of deal. But it was like 4 or 5 a.m. Everybody's asleep. And I fucking walked upstairs by myself just to go talk to my wife in the bedroom. You know, that next day, got home late, went to bed. You know, next day I walked upstairs and just to greet my wife and, you know, the girls. Yeah. Like, holy shit, what are you doing up here?
At any point in this, are you in your mind about that you're the victim of a gunshot? Like, it doesn't seem like you have any victim in you, brother.
There was too much shit going on in my life.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm getting at. And that was the whole point of, you know, telling you about, you know, me, the running, the this, the, you know, my mentality, why I had to walk and all that, because being victimized and this whole mentality, that's all a mindset.
Yeah.
No, hey, this world is evil, a lot of evil shit. I got to prepare myself. I'm firsthand witness of what can happen. So what am I going to do to prepare for this shit to never happen again?
Right.
You know, now I still have responsibilities. That hasn't changed. I'm thankful I'm alive, you know, and just move on.
Right.
Push forward. And that was the whole thing. It's all a mindset. I could have said I would never walk, and guess what? Maybe I would have never walked. I could have said, you know, that this is the worst thing, and, you know, I'd be in depression right now, fucking locked up in a dark room.
Right.
You know, but no, I didn't choose that. I didn't choose to be a victim.
Right.
I chose to push myself. I chose to walk. I chose to not really give a shit about what happened. Just prepare in case there's ever a next time. Prepare the family in case we're ever put in a situation like this.
A lot of men, especially, miss that nowadays, right? We think, and we've discussed this on the show before, like you get a lot of rewards out of being the victim, right?
Oh yeah.
You're no longer held responsible. You get to be right, and you get people that'll give you attention, right? So they're, oh my God, you know, this happened to you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't respect you for getting shot. I respect you because of what you did afterwards, right? Nobody remembers a hero based upon what took them out. They remember the hero because of what they survived. So you went through something, and where most people are going to run, you chose to think about your family, and you chose to think about the threat that needed to be eliminated. That's what makes you a hero. So I get that a lot of people don't have it in them to be that way. And you know, what words would you give to somebody that's currently in a victimhood mindset?
You know what? Damn, I've never thought about that. I've never thought of like what advice, because I mean, it's probably harsh or whatever, and this is an advice or what I'm just telling myself. And I mean, maybe it's not the right words for somebody,
Right.
but this is what I tell myself and told myself since day one. Don't be a bitch. Stop being a fucking pussy. No. Stand up and push forward. And that's what I told myself. So maybe it's harsh and rude for me to give that advice to somebody that's, you know, feels depressed and victimized, but if that's what I told myself and that's what pushed me,
Right.
then maybe those are the words that these people need to hear.
Right.
Like, hear my story, and here I am.
Yeah.
What happened to you to get to that position? Is it a worse story or situation than mine? Maybe. Maybe not.
Right.
You know, but at the end of the day, it's like we're all responsible for our own actions and our own outcome.
Yeah.
You know, I was responsible for what was going to happen after the fact. Was I going to be depressed, sitting at home and victimized and all that? Or was I going to push forward and keep, you know, start working again, start doing my thing, start providing for my family again, and just push forward? Mm-hmm. And I chose that. I chose to not be a fucking bitch.
Right. And so I would say to that, like, if somebody needs it in a more palatable tone, then, like, okay, here it goes. You know, just get up. It's time to do the things. You don't get to give up. Like, we're not quitting today. We have to get to work.
You say it too nice.
Absolutely. A big part of me wants to be like, quit being a bitch and let's go. Like, it's time to man up. It's time to do the damn thing. Like, there is too much on the line. Quit being soft. It's time to be a man. But yet in the same right, like, you have to appeal to your audience, right? And I'm not saying that the people that listen to the show are going to be soft people.
Right.
More than likely they're not, because more than likely a soft person, a victim, is not going to want to watch a podcast about personal development or about masculinity, or
they will because they'll want some inspiration.
Sure. And so take it from Raul or take it from me. End of the day, get up. Time to move. There's no time to slow down right now. And if this man can be shot in the head and nope, I'm not laying in bed. I'm going to go run the ward. Like, that's wild to me. So if he can do it, you can do it. And I understand the concepts of mental illness. Don't get me wrong. And yet still, like, just push through. So all of these things happen to you. You've started getting on the road to recovery. And at a certain point, there's now a part of you that goes, okay, I can be a man about this. I can push forward. I have to provide for my family. And you've gone on to advocate for gun rights because of it. And that's why I was making the joke in the earlier segment. You know, you're a huge proponent for firearms, and you attribute your success and safety to the fact that you were able to have a firearm on you.
I mean, after the fact, you know, it's kind of like I was carrying a firearm, and I'm thankful for that. Although, yes, I've had that, you know, those comments or, you know, well, you got shot by a gun. Shouldn't you be against them? It's not the tool. I mean, a gun is just a tool.
Right.
That's it. So I can't blame the tool, you know, for what happened.
Sure.
It's kind of like, you know, there's more deaths in car accidents than there is in, you know, gunfire.
Right, but you drove here today.
But I drove here today. So, you know, it could have been like, oh, this person, you know, died in a car accident and this many cars and 6 died and all that. And then it's like, but the one survivor, like, oh, I'm against cars.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work that way. And, you know, the media and, you know, the whole politics, they want to push that narrative, you know, oh, gun violence. So let's ban guns. Let's, you know, get rid of them. Let's, you know, gun control and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, all they're doing is harming, you know, the law-abiding citizens.
Right.
You know, I grew up in California where gun laws are a lot stricter.
Yeah.
You know, you can't carry. And now if you want a CCW in California, you know, you jump through all these, you know, hoops and obstacles just to be able to carry. Mm-hmm. You know, say this was in California, I'd be on trial.
Right.
Why was I carrying in the first place?
Right.
It's illegal.
Right.
Although, yes, you know, you stop the threat and all this, but you stop the threat with an illegal gun, and now you're going to be tried for murder and this and that. And so...
Right, you broke the law to save
other
people
so,
from someone breaking the law.
So again, after the fact, you know, I start advocating.
Yeah.
You know, start telling the story, and, you know, I thank God, you know, for getting me up and doing what I did, but, you know, also a thanks for being in a state that allows me to carry.
Yeah.
You know, because if it wasn't for that, you know, I wouldn't be here.
And likely just about everyone else at that party, that gathering, wouldn't be here.
I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a tool. We don't have a problem with guns or anything like that.
Right.
It's just more of that mental illness.
Yeah.
And you know, the media, the politics and all that, they try to nip that, oh, the problem is the gun, but it's not the gun.
Right.
It's the, you know, the people behind it, the people that are using it to do harm.
Right. And on top of that, you have, like, it becomes a slippery slope when it comes to addressing the concept of firearms ownership and mental illness, right? And they're, you know, have attempted to push red flag laws and all of these things. And, like, it should be illegal that if a doctor says that you're not allowed to carry a firearm, you shouldn't be allowed to carry a firearm. That's the law. It's already there, right? It should be there. I get it. If you are not mentally well, if you are prone to go attack someone, then yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to own a firearm. But at what rubric are we able to judge that? Because you looked at me sideways in a store. Now I go, oh, no, you shouldn't have a firearm because you've intimidated me. Does it mean if you're on psychotropics? Does it mean if you have admitted that you want to kill somebody? Like, at what point? Because they could take a red flag law and go after you. Well, he went through a traumatic situation, so he must have PTSD. They could go after me. He's a combat veteran. He shouldn't be allowed to own a firearm. they can go after Brandon because Brandon wears really ugly glasses.
They're very California. I'll say that.
Tom Ford, friend of the show. But no, I mean, there's just so much that goes into it that they just are using it to chip away at gun ownership, right? And even some people that act as though they're advocates have pushed for these things. I mean, when they were talking about like, oh my gosh, Pam Bondi, so great. I couldn't stand her because of what she attempted to push with the red flag laws. And I was like, no, she sucks. Then all of a sudden, the whole Epstein situation, now everybody's like, yeah, she sucks. Yeah, she did. And she sucked for a long time. Leave firearms rights alone. I will, till the end of my time, preach that.
Same.
And we met in that advocacy realm years back, and you know, I still advocate for firearms. I went to work for one of the organizations, to not be named, not a friend of the show, and you know, I obviously I have nothing to do with them anymore, but it's not because of what they supposedly do. It's because of who they actually are. But I mean, I'm still in contact with my people over at GOA, you know. I love those guys. They're fantastic at what they do. And, you know, I shouldn't drop his name. However, one of them just reached out to me like last week and he's like, hey, brother, they want me to go to Goals, right? And so they're like, he's like, file for a press pass. Come down here and interview people and come hang out. And I'm like, that would be fantastic for the podcast. So we might end up doing that. It just all depends. However, you know, I'm a huge proponent for firearms. And I think it would be pretty bold for me to have you come on if you were against firearms, if you were a victim of gun violence and you didn't fully support the Second Amendment still. I don't know. It's just funny because most of the people that tout that there needs to be gun control have zero understanding of how much gun control there already is to like a lunatic fringe. And they don't get that like these books are already written. There's already laws that are doing the things that you say you want done. And in many cases go even farther, right? But they hear their little talking points on social media and they latch onto them and it's gross.
For sure. I mean, I'm going to keep pushing that. I try not to get into politics. When I mean politics, like, I did it for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had my beliefs and, you know, you get disappointed either way. So
right
now, like, I stay out of that. You know, there is no politician that's your friend, really, the majority. Or, you know, everybody's out for themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And that's just the way I feel. So I stay away from it. But one thing I will continue to advocate for is, you know, gun ownership.
Yeah.
And I do believe, just like, you know, history shows, you strip a country or its citizens of their, you know, right to bear arms, then the government has full control, and that's when they can censor you, take away your freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and, you know, they're in full control.
It's not even history. It's current events.
It's current events,
The
yeah.
UK is a prime example of exactly why.
Canada,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, even Mexico. Like,
Mexico's a big one because Mexico did it a while back ago.
yeah.
And you can see where they're heading. Mexico has one gun store for the whole country.
Yeah.
And that's in the capital, you know, in Mexico City. They have one gun store. So if you want a gun, you got to fly out or whatever to there. And it's still not a guarantee you will get a gun.
Yeah.
You know, you can't carry, you can't have anything. But guess what?
That's interesting.
Who's in
'cause
control
They
of
have
that
so many
country?
guns there, and there's so much gun violence. That's
I know,
so
right?
odd.
I know. I mean,
Be so heavily
you
regulated.
can see how these, gun control laws really work.
Yeah, you know what they should do? Mexico should model their gun control laws off of what the heck is that utopia? Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they really did that the right way.
Yeah. Chicago, friend of the show, the whole city.
But no, it's just it's interesting because again, you look at those statistics where the heaviest gun control is typically the heaviest violence,
gun violence,
and gun violence. Yes, and organized crime and all of those things, and it seems to be that power vacuum, right? If you're not able to protect yourself, then you rely heavily on the state. However, the state is completely fallible pretty much every single time. And so if you have a heavy reliance on the state, organized crime ends up forming there. They're greasing palms and wallets and, then they get away with whatever they want, right? And so then you end up having a ton more violence, and then the guns are illegal. Like, it's just a gross, vicious cycle that it's crazy to me that anybody who would look at the gun control debate and would be like, okay, just because we don't have a shining example of any place that this has ever worked, like,
yeah,
that's crazy to me.
If people want to do something terrible, they'll do it. I mean, you were using the car comparison earlier. Well, okay. I feel like a lot of people might take that out of context and be like, well, driving to work is not the same as utilizing a weapon to hurt somebody. People use cars all the time to commit violent acts.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else they can get their hands on or utilize to commit some form of violence, it doesn't have to be a gun. It's, to your point, it's the person. This is a mental illness circumstance situation where people want to do violent, evil things to each other. They're going to find a way to do it. Places like the UK,
Knife attacks, yeah,
all the time. They are known for throwing acid in faces. Like, you just walk down the street and just get a face full of acid.
Right.
It's not uncommon. The machetes all over the place.
Well, they just had that. I want to say he was Irish.
Yeah.
Almost beheaded.
So, yeah.
You have the politics on it, the judges that early release or small bonds to repeat offenders, and they let them back out, and then 2 weeks later they murder this person,
Right.
stuff like that.
That Ukrainian guy on the subway.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, you hear stories like that, and I think that's a huge problem. And that don't blame the gun, and don't blame that. You can also blame the politics. Why are they releasing these people? These
Right.
mentally ill.
Why
these
are they
repeat
allowing
offenders,
this to
Why are they
happen?
allowing
Yeah.
it? So that made me
Recidivism
think
is
of.
huge.
That made me think of, so growing up, I knew that El Salvador was one of the most dangerous damn countries.
Yeah.
Gangsters walking around with machetes, like, you're going to get your fucking head chopped off.
Right.
Dangerous. I've had friends, in California, that even out here, that are Salvadorian, and you ever gone back to your home country or where your parents are from? Fuck no, I don't want to die.
Right.
You had this new president come in, built one of the biggest jails in El Salvador, and just said, you know what? We're fucking chopping heads.
Yeah.
Went, raided all known gangsters, just anybody. You fuck around, you find out. Threw them all in prison. All of them.
Yeah, for life.
Now El Salvador is one of the safest countries in Latin America or whatever. Now you can actually fly to El Salvador as a tourist and be safe.
Yeah.
And just go tour the country without any worries. And how did that happen? And that shit happened like overnight. It didn't take, the new president fucking 10 years or, it didn't take, no. This shit happened in a matter of, fucking year or less.
And so the counter side to that I see, right? Me always being the antagonist. Like, good on that president for not then becoming a crazy dictator, right? Because to me, I hear that and I go, oh, that's leading to tyranny. Because they'll come in just iron fist and put everybody in jail that would ever oppose them. And then I'm the supreme leader of this country for the rest of my existence, and I'm going to live forever. And that's gross. And most presidents or figureheads of whatever state would be in that realm, right?
But those leaders were criminalizing people that were just speaking out against the state, right? You've got this president whose name escapes me. We are going after violent criminals. People actually have criminal murder records, right?
Yeah.
Whereas historically, you go back and anyone who just simply opposed the state suddenly was then a criminal. And now all of a sudden, whatever they're doing is somehow illegal. So that's why we can round them up and take them out.
Right. Which I get. What I'm saying more though is that next step typically
it leads to
then they go to, and those guys who didn't like me are getting it, and those guys, you know.
I mean, I've seen a lot of his speeches,
does tend to go that way.
And he's friend, ally of the U.S. He loves the freedom of speech, the whole democracy, or the stuff like that. And I mean, seems like he's doing it right. And
that's what I'm saying.
It seems like he's not trying to become a dictator of El Salvador.
Yeah.
He loves the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of that. He just wants his country to be a safe place.
Yeah. As well it should be.
And he did it right,
To your point, Eddie, it'll be interesting to see who comes in behind him.
Yeah.
And how they utilize that.
I'm looking up his name right now. Nayib Bukele?
Bukele. Yeah.
Oh man, that dude's not. He's barely older than me. Why am I not running a country? This is bullshit.
These are your results, sir.
But some of us are born into. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, man. Let's just shift gears and hang out guy chat. I got to see you at a GOA event when you got your new eye. I know I seem infatuated with it. I just think it's the coolest freaking thing in the world. Will you tell the people at home what you got?
Yeah, so took a while. Got my first prosthetic eye. It was a regular looking. It was for fitting. Kept getting one after another. And, try to get the right size and right everything. And I just had this idea, like, I want a eye with a casing on it.
So that was your idea?
Yeah, that was my idea. Like,
okay.
I want a casing on it.
Bullet casing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a shell. Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to go with 45. I was carrying a 45.
Yeah.
Although I got shot with a 9.
Yeah.
I don't want a 9. I want a 45 of what I used.
Right.
It's not a reminder of what went through my head, but a reminder of what I used. A reminder of, the positive side.
That's just all you seem to be doing with this. Like,
so I told them, I ended up going to a prosthetic eye place out here in Mesa or Tempe, one or the other. Super cool lady, girl. She seems young, but she's awesome. She's a great artist. Because these eyes are actually hand-drawn.
Okay.
So they'll get the shape and do the acrylic and all that. And then she'll just stare at my other eye for like an hour and just start drawing. Mixing colors and putting little fibers or whatever for the veins to make it look realistic. Mm-hmm. And, I told her my story. She loved it. She told me of, oh, I have this, and, I just, preach the gospel of CCW, of how she should carry and all that good stuff. And and I told her the idea of what I had.
Yeah.
I want a casing, and she's like, well, bring it to me. Mm-hmm. And next time you come, I was like, I want 2. I want a brass color and a silver one.
Yeah.
Silver casing. She's like, bring them. Okay. So, day of, I was like, oh, shit, I need a casings. Mm-hmm. So I drove to the desert really quick, just popped 2 off. And, okay, where are the casings? Picked them up, went to my appointment, took them to her. And I told her the idea. I was like, the silver one, I want black.
Mm-hmm.
And then the brass one, I want like the natural, white, around it.
Yeah.
So she made them. Next appointment I went, she pulled them out, nicely polished. Here's your 2 eyes. Let's try them on.
Yeah.
And then, tried them on. I'm like, damn, these things are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the coolest shit ever. So I was like, so how is this going to work? How much is it? Is it going through insurance? Because it's more of a, She's like, don't worry about it.
What?
She's like, these are on us. It's her and her husband.
Yeah.
They work out of their home.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kylie Brown and Dr. Robert Brown.
Okay.
This specialty is not a big specialty, so there's only a few in the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that I went to. And I mean, super nice people. The husband, he's awesome. And it was the wife that, started working on my eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I've had one appointment with him, but it wasn't to make me an eye, just to check fitments and all that. But I mean, I just thought it was the coolest shit ever when she told me that. Like, no, like, I made these for you.
Yeah.
Like, this is not going insurance, nothing out of pocket, nothing. And these eyes, they're freaking expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking
Anything
about
prosthetic.
like 8K, 10K for a hand-drawn eye.
Yeah. Would you mind showing the camera your eye?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have several questions because you go ahead and just get a little bit closer. Right, yeah, right in there. There it is. So you said you showed up and you tried them on. Like, you can just pop them in and out. Like,
Yeah, like a contact lens.
was wild. All right. And then also I noticed it moves with your other eye. Like, how did
It
how
moves
did that
a little
work?
bit.
Okay.
Because the surgeon that I had,
Mm-hmm.
for what he had to work with, he did a great job. He pulled muscle, and because everything was blown, he pulled muscle and kind of put it together, molded it to kind of create a back.
Okay.
And whatever he did. Wow. And that piece or that muscle, it still contracts.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if the prosthetic eye was actually like freaking glued to that muscle, it'll actually move fully.
Yeah.
But since that back muscle is just sitting behind, the prosthetic eye,
Mm-hmm.
even when I move it, it makes the prosthetic eye move a little bit,
Yeah.
but not fully. So when I wear like my regular eye and, I move, this one just barely moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, I did that with the eye that you had when I met you because, I heard about you and then I was kind of like scanning the room looking for somebody that was going to be clearly recently shot in the head. And I didn't know that it was you. I was like, when we met, I was like, all right, yeah, guy's got a little, thing going on with his eye. And then I was like, oh my gosh, that's him. And like, that's still just another testament to your just never quit attitude, man. And like, I have massive admiration for you and respect for what you've done. And again, there's 2 people in my phone titled hero, and you're one of them.
thank you.
And Steven, you're amongst a, no pun intended, a high caliber of man. And so, we've been in talks for months about you coming on. We finally found the time to be able to sync and have you come in. And
I mean, this would have happened sooner, but you live way out in the boonies, man.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I live on the mountains on the other side.
Yeah.
I live way out here.
Yeah,
but I'm glad we made it happen.
Yeah, same, man. And just you can ask Brandon when you finally were like, all right, I'm coming out. I was like, oh, we did it. He's coming on. Because I know your story and I've heard you speak before and I've seen you at multiple events. You've always been a super nice person to me as well. And who's going to come on the podcast and put their face right up to the camera so that people can see how cool your eye is. And I knew, the last time I saw you that like, when I saw that new eye, I was like, look, man, if it's weird, I'm sorry. But like that eye is so cool.
I mean, again, I could play that victim card and be like, I don't want people to see it. I wouldn't be wearing a damn bullet as an eye if I don't want people to stare or look or ask the question, hey, what is that?
Yeah. Let me tell you my story.
Let me tell you what happened.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I wear it as a reminder of what can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and why I advocate for the Second Amendment. Because that's all it is.
Yeah.
You know, why I do things. And it's just a constant reminder to be thankful that I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
Yeah. Well, the world is a safer and better place because you're here. So, God bless you, brother.
Thank you.